African News on VOP TV. I am David Edwin. We start the news in Burkina Faso, where joint efforts have been made of troops from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger that have killed a major Islamic State commander, Abu Huzaifa, who is with a bounty of $5 million on his head, now according to reports. Huzaifa, a member of the Islamic State Sahel province, is affiliate, was killed in the Malian region of Naka on Sunday. Abu Huzaifa's killing was part of an operation that was carried out in a tree border area between the three Sahel countries. He had been linked to several high-profile militants raids in the area, including an attack in 2017 in which 4 U.S. soldiers and a similar number of Nigerian troops were killed. However, the U.S. State Department had offered a $5 million bounty for information on Huzaifa and his alleged role in that attack. Recall that last month, the three countries' military governments, months after forming a mutual defense pact, said they would form a joint force to fight jihadists. The U.S. States has appealed to all countries, including the United Arab Emirates, to stop providing support to warring parties in Sudan. The U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, said that the Sudanese army and the rival Rapid Support Forces were both receiving support, leading to a destruction of Sudan and displacement of millions. Meanwhile, there are fears that the RSF plans to attack the last city the army still holds in the western Darfur region. The UN has warned of a catastrophe for the civilian population if there is a battle for control of the city. The United States and United Kingdom have called on Burkina Faso's transitional authorities to carry out a thorough investigation into reports of massacre by the military. Recall that last week, Human Rights Watch reported that 2 villages were raided by the army in February as part of an operation against Islamic militants. Survivors said the soldiers went door to door, rounded up residents, and opened fire on them. The authorities in military-ruled Burkina Faso rejected the report as baseless. Several international media organizations, including the BBC, have been suspended after reporting allegations. A total number of 351 Gambian soldiers have been provided military training by Turkey in preparation for Gambia hosting the Organization of Islamic Cooperation Summit in early May. The soldiers were given special training in various areas in the Turkish capital, Banjul, from April 7th to 28th, including VIP protection. Turkey's ambassador to Gambia, Fari Tuka Oba, Gambian Defense Minister, Serial Modu Njay, Gambian Chief of Defense Staff Mamat Tam, and many soldiers attended the closing ceremony of the event. During the ceremony, Oba said their training will benefit Gambian security forces during and after the summit. Njay, on his part, thanked Turkey for its support and said the country is a reliable development partner of Gambia. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Bogdanov visited Sudan on Monday in a signal of support for the Sudanese army, which is locked in a year-long war with the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. Bogdanov, also a special representative for the Middle East and Africa, met Sudanese Army Commander Abdel Fattah al-Burhan in the Red Sea of Port Sudan, a base for the army and government officials since the RSF took over large parts of the capital, Khartoum, early in the conflict. Bogdanov said his visit would lead to increased cooperation and expressed support for the existing legitimacy in the countries represented by the Sovereign Council, according to the statement from the Council, which is headed by Burhan. There has been uncertainty around Russia's allegiance in Sudan due to its ties with RSF commander Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, also known as Hamidi, who visited Moscow on the eve of Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The UN Secretary Council has extended a mandate for the UN mission in South Sudan for 1 year. On Monday, the Council voted 13 in favor to extend the mission until April the 30th, 2025, with permanent members Russia and China abstaining. The resolution seeks to uphold a maximum capacity of 17,000 troops and 2,101 police personnel in total. It also comes at a crucial time as South Sudan prepares for its first post-independence elections. China's deputy representative to the UN, Dai Bing, told the Council that the resolution puts too much pressure on the South Sudanese government while making judgments beyond reasonable limits. You're watching the African News on VOP TV. More stories after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. President William Ruto will later today chair a special cabinet meeting to discuss the flood situation in the country. The flood have killed nearly 170 people in the last month, says Isaac Mwara, spokesperson for the government. Early on Monday, about 45 persons had been confirmed dead when their villages were washed away near Mai Mahiu, which is about 60 kilometers from the capital, Nairobi. But the Kenyan Red Cross says the number is higher, with 50 persons killed. President Ruto told the media that his government's response to the floods has been criticized as slow by local governments. The president, however, defended his government's actions. He said that they would talk about more ways to help with the floods in their meeting on Tuesday. When asked if the floods would be declared a national disaster right away, President Ruto said his first job was to make sure affected areas get what they need. According to experts, more rains are expected in the East African country. Due to this, the government has decided to keep schools closed. More than 130,000 people have had to leave their homes because of the floods, may, of course, stay in school for shelter. Kenyan Airways, the national carrier of Kenya, has announced the suspension of its flight to Kinshasa due to the continued detention of its crew by the Democratic Republic of Congo's military. The crew members were detained over a controversial consignment of banknotes. The airline cited difficulties in supervising and supporting its operations in Kinshasa as the reason for the suspension, which will take effect from April the 30th, 2024. Alan Kilavuka, the managing director of Kenyan Airways, announced that due to the continued detention of KQ employees by the military intelligence unit in Kinshasa, Kenyan Airways is unable to support its flights effectively. As a result, the airline has made the difficult decision to suspend flights to Kinshasa effective April the 30th, 2024, until they can effectively support these flights. The suspension of Kenyan Airways flights to Kinshasa is expected to benefit all the airlines servicing the Nairobi-Kinshasa routes, including Ethiopian Airlines, Precision Air, ASKY Airlines, and South African Airways. Last week, 2 Kenyan Airways staff members were arrested and detained on April the 19th, 2024, over alleged missing custom documentation on valuable cargo intended for a KQ flight on April the 12th, 2024. leaked photographs depicting the son of Libya's late dictator Muammar Gaddafi and the cramped underground cell where he has been detained for years in Lebanon have sparked concerns within the North African nation as Libyan authorities demand improvements. The images revealed a room devoid of natural light, filled with Hannibal Gaddafi's personal belongings, a bed, and a small toilet. Two Lebanese judicial officials confirmed on Monday that the photographs indeed portray Gaddafi and the cell where he has been held for years at a police headquarters in Beirut. Gaddafi appeared to be in good health, sporting a light beard and glasses. Gaddafi has been detained in Lebanon since 2015 after being abducted from neighboring Syria, where he had been residing as a political refugee. He was seized by Lebanese militants who were seeking information regarding the fate of prominent Lebanese Shiite cleric Musa al-Assad, who disappeared during a visit in Libya in 1978. Assad's fate remains a contentious issue in Lebanon. While his family believes he may still be alive in a Libyan prison, most Lebanese presume Assad, who would now be 95 years old, is deceased. In January, a Libyan delegation visited Beirut to reopen discussion with Lebanese officials concerning the fate of Assad and the release of Gaddafi. These talks aim to revive a dormant 2014 agreement between Lebanon and Libya for cooperation in the investigation of Assad's disappearance. However, the delegation did not return to Beirut as planned. It's worth noting that Gaddafi went on a hunger strike in June of last year and was subsequently hospitalized after his health deteriorated. The House of Representatives voted unanimously on Monday to approve the national budget for fiscal year 2024, totaling $738,858,827 million US dollars, increase from the draft submitted by the executive. The original budget proposed by the executive was $692.2 million. The House Committee on Ways, Means and Finance made this recommendation following a comprehensive joint hearing with the Senate, where 60 House members approved the budget through a roll call vote. The rigorous 3-week hearing process allowed various ministries and agencies to defend their budget proposals. During the hearings, revenue-generating state-owned enterprise such as the Liberia Telecommunications Authority, Liberia Maritime Authority, National Port Authority, and others were scrutinized to ensure their financial capability. Subcommittees were used to thoroughly examine the budget proposal, providing a meticulous review to guarantee efficient use of public funds and value for money. And then in Ghana, the High Court in Ghana's capital, Accra, has dismissed a bid to force the president to sign a tough anti-LGBT bill passed by Parliament in February. Monday, Justice Ellen Lodina Sawa Meriko backed the president's arguments in the High Court, ruling that it would be inappropriate to force Mr. Akufo-Addo to sign the bill. The bill proposed a jail term of up to 3 years for anyone identifying as LGBT and will intensify a crackdown on the community's rights. Recall that last month, President Nana Akufo-Addo's office said he would not make the bill law until the Supreme Court rules on its constitutionality, sparking a political row in the West African country. However, the Ghana Finance Ministry warned that the country would lose at least $3.8 billion, that's about 3 billion pounds, in World Bank funding if the controversial bill becomes law. But several legislators and citizens are pressuring President Akufo-Addo to sign it. Furthermore, the proposed law faces 2 pending Supreme Court challenges. The 2 challenges were filed separately by 2 Ghanaians, activist Amanda Odoi and lawyer Richard Della Sky. They are seeking to block the bill from becoming law. And then we go to Uganda, where Uganda has secured a $295 million loan from Saudi Arabia's Islamic Development Bank to finance road construction and other infrastructural projects. This comes as Uganda seeks to diversify its sources of external funding due to prolonged talks with the World Bank regarding new loans. Ugandan Finance Minister Matia Kasaija signed the loan agreement with IDB President Mohammed Al-Jasser in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia's capital. The loan will be used to construct a bridge over the River Nile in northwest Uganda and build roads spanning 105 kilometers. The World Bank, which has traditionally been Uganda's main external lender, had suspended new loans after Uganda enacted a harsh anti-homosexuality law. The new agreement with the IDB signals Uganda's intention to find alternative funding sources to continue its development projects. You're still watching the Africa News on VOP TV. Business and sports stories after this break. Still. Back now to some business stories. South Africa's rand softened against the dollar ahead of the release of local trade and budget balance figures. The rand traded at 18.7025 against the dollar, 0.38% weaker than its previous close. Investors await South Africa's National Treasury and Revenue Service Department release of March budget and trade balance figures. Additionally, South African Reserve Bank data showed March M3 money supply growth at 6.85% year-on-year and credit growth at 5.18% year-on-year. Global market focus remains on the Federal Reserve's two-day monetary policy meeting, with expectation of interest rates being held. The dollar index was last trading up 0.16% against a basket of currencies. On the Johannesburg stock market, the top 40 and all-share index were both little changed in early trade. South Africa's benchmark 2030 government bond was stronger, with the yield down 2.5 basis points to 10.640%. And to Zimbabwe we go, where Zimbabweans will start using fresh banknotes and coins today as the country rolls out its third currency in a decade. The currency, of which a digital version was launched earlier this month, is the latest attempt to control soaring inflation in the country. But there are signs that Zimbabwean gold, or ZiG, is already facing problem as the digital version has lost a quarter of its value against the US dollar on the black market. However, the central bank said that the ZiG is backed by gold and foreign currency reserve to help maintain its value. The highest denomination of ZiG available to the 200 ZiG note, which is worth about $15. Individuals will be allowed to withdraw a maximum of ZiG 3,000 and companies ZiG 30,000 per week. But there are no limits of cash withdrawals for the parliament, quotes an international organization. Still in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwean annual inflation rate rose to 57.5% in April 2024, up from 55.34% in March 2024, despite the introduction of the Zimbabwean gold currency designed to stabilize prices and exchange rates. The Zimbabwean National Statistics Agency released the latest figure on Monday, indicating that inflation continues to increase despite efforts to curb it. The month-on-month inflation rate for April 2024 was 2.9%, down from the March 2024 rate of 4.9%. The food and non-alcoholic beverage inflation rate dropped to 4.2%, compared to 8.1% in March 2024. The total consumption poverty line for one person in April 2024 was ZiG 650.26, highlighting the economic strain many Zimbabweans faces. Additionally, Zimstat noted that the month-on-month USD inflation rate for April 2024 was 0.8%, while the year-on-year USD inflation rate was 3.2%. These fluctuations reflect the ongoing challenges Zimbabwe faces in stabilizing its economy and controlling inflation despite policy changes. And now to some sporting stories. Former Super Eagles coach Jose Pizarro is one of 3 coaches who have been shortlisted to take over the indomitable Lions of Cameroon. The other coaches are Javier Renard and Fabio Cannavaro. This was contained in a memo sent by Fecafold to the Cameroonian Sports Ministry dated March 13, 2024. It has been reported that Pizarro has demanded a salary of about 1.5 million euros a year, more than 100,000 euros a month. Pizarro led the Super Eagles past Cameroon 2-0 in the knockout rounds of the recent AFCON in Cote d'Ivoire. Cameroon have been embroiled in a controversy over the appointment of a new coach after the sports ministry appointed the Belgian Marc Brees to replace Rigobert Song as he is more affordable. However, the Flukerfolds, headed by Samuel Eto'o-Fields, have since countered the announcement. The Flukerfolds Emergency Committee has now ordered Eto'o to name a new coach within 72 hours. Kobe, a 15-month-old son of former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, has died. The former UFC star posted on social media after reports began going round on his native Cameroon. Francis Ngannou questioned why life is unfair. Ngannou has also posted a message on Instagram: "Too soon to leave, but yet he's gone. My little boy, my mate, and my partner Kobe was full of life and joy. Now he's laying without life. I shouted his name over and over, but he's not responding." The circumstances of Francis Ngannou's son's death are unknown at this time. Ngannou, 37 years old, is coming off a second-round knockout loss to Anthony Joshua in his second professional boxing match on March the 8th. Ngannou, who is signed to the PFL, has remained mum on his future in boxing and MMA since the defeat. And with that, we've come to the end of the African News on VOP TV. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. On YouTube, we are at Voice of the People TV, and on all other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. Join us on our subsequent bulletin at 4 and 9 p.m. I am David Edwin. Do have a good afternoon.